Our one in the middle, number 11, is named John Boynton. He's actually one of my favorite to talk about because he's a college graduate. You realize a subliminal message just went out. Okay, but with that, you're going to kind of pick up some characteristics about Boynton. Boynton, of all the original members of the Quorum of the 12, he's the only one of the 12 called to be a member while still a bachelor. So you realize the precedent has been set, and some of you men might want to hold out, but you know, what are the chances? Okay, but Boynton, he's a bachelor. While a member of the 12, Joseph will officiate at the ceremony, which he's married now to his wife. And you'd say for him, he is very faithful in the 12 until what? Kirtland Safety Society. For John F. Boynton, he had a dream, like William McClellan. His dream was great wealth, great riches. It wasn't like he put a lot of money into the bank, but he's one of the principals of the bank. And so with that, John F. Boynton is one of those who joins with the apostates and takes over the Kirtland Temple. And you look and you go, wow, Boynton, you know, you were riding high, and now look at you. And in fact, do you remember when we talked about how Brigham Young had been building on that temple, and he'd come down in the front, and when he come down the front, he said to an apostate leader, hey, the temple's done, and, you know, hurrah, hurrah for Brigham. He speaks, he gives the temple a builder's dedicatory prayer, and then recall when Brigham says, the difference between you and me, I know Joseph still is a prophet. And remember, a guy steps forward with a whip and whips him out of that temple. Who do you think that guy is? John F. Boynton. And you'd say somebody who's served in the same quorum with them. Well, Boynton literally chases Brigham Young. He's got a whip, and he chases him about 100 miles. And finally, Boynton puts down his whip, and he goes, oh, wow. He goes, I say goodbye to religion forever. He said, religion doesn't bring out the best in me. Now, for Boynton, when he had gone to university, he had studied science. And so his conclusion was, I'm going to say goodbye to anything spiritual in my life, and I'm now going to put all my time, talents, energy into being a great scientist. Well, he actually became a great scientist. There are 36 patents to his name in Washington, D.C. So I'm going to say something, you're going to say, oh, you know, we use it, I've heard about it. For Boynton, he is the father of the fire extinguisher. So the next time you have a small kitchen fire, you've got a fire extinguisher in a car or something, and it'll be a chance to tell a friend, did you know this was made by a man once who served as an apostle? Okay, just open up that kitchen cupboard and, you know, it's a great family home evening. You'll be able to say, wow, okay. He is also the father of the torpedo. So if you were studying the history of naval warfare in the entire world, no doubt, you would learn something about a man named John F. Boynton. Well, for him, I'm going to go through several others. If you've ever eaten, you know, a hamburger, but you're at a place where they have amazing sodas, and it's not your, you know, your pop, you know, a Coke or a Pepsi or something like that, but it's a soda where you kind of mix it. It has the fizz on top. He is the father. He invents the soda fountain. So if you haven't tried it, it's actually a pretty great drink. You know, I don't know if it would rival shave ice here. But nevertheless, you know, it's a pretty good drink. Well, okay. He also invents things other than seashells that can be used as buttons. He invents a special type of tar for roofs that we still use, that kind of tar today. At one point, the United States was very concerned because large boats were coming into the San Francisco harbor and had sunk, but they had a lot of valuable merchandise on the boats. For John F. Boynton, he goes to the San Francisco harbor and he invents a levee system to lift large bodies out of water. And you know, you look and you go, okay, at one point his first wife died, he married his second wife, and he's the first man to do so in a hot air balloon going over New York City. And at another point, he becomes, if you study genealogy, he's one of the first men in the United States to begin a family organization to look into the past for records. And he actually comes up with 30,000 names. And he kept friends with Orson Pratt. And he sent the names to Orson Pratt. And they're some of the first names that were done in the St. George Temple. Okay, look what this guy's got going for himself. What do you think of him? Okay, pretty smart. Could he have been a great friend? He probably would have been, you would have called him an honor student. You may not have wanted to compete against him in class, but you'd probably want him as a good study partner, right? Okay. And you'd say, well, he's bright, he's creative, he's this, he's that. Okay. Now you can imagine then, of all of the original quorum of the 12, Brigham Young's name, went up in neon lights, because he's like American Moses, taking so many people west. But if you were to say whose other name in that original quorum was a household word across the United States, it's this Boynton. And part of it is, you know how you follow sometimes fireside speakers or youth speakers, and suddenly you know who these people are? Well, okay, for Boynton, he would take his scientific inventions on the road. And he would come and he'd tell him how this works and it's going to bless your life. Well, okay. Finally, years have now come and gone. And the last interaction that Brigham Young had had with Boynton was being chased out of that Kirtland temple with a whip in the hand of this man. But Brigham Young, as the years came and went, as he would call various missionaries back to a place called Syracuse, New York, he would say to the missionaries, stop in and see my old friend, John F. Boynton, and tell him we need him. Well, okay, finally, one of the missionaries have stopped, and Boynton says, well, he would like to see his old friends out in the West. He doesn't want to join with them. He said goodbye to religion, but he would like to bring his inventions that far west, and he would like to show the saints what he had become when he said goodbye to religion. Well, okay, here comes this famous John F. Boynton to Salt Lake City. He lives with Brigham Young for 3 weeks, and he sets up his scientific experiments on Temple Square. You could either go to Temple Square, and you could watch the saints laboriously place one stone on top of the other, building the Salt Lake Temple. And will they ever finish? Or for 3 weeks, you could go to Temple Square and you could listen to amazing scientific lectures by a former member of the 12. Now, while Boynton was on Temple Square, Brigham Young sent word throughout all his little settlements, saying, if any of you knew this man, come to Temple Square, and if he baptized you, if he gave you a blessing, if he ordained you to the priesthood, you come to Temple Square and you talk to him and tell him you want him back. Well, all kinds of people came. And he'd say, oh, I'm so glad you've had good health. I am so glad the church has been good for you. But he always said, oh, not for me. Finally, it's 3 weeks. He's ready to go back to New York. And Brigham gives him one more chance. And he says, stay out west. And Boynton says, oh, no. He goes, I'm going back. He goes, I got so many ideas. I'm not even begin to be done. All the great things I'm going to do. And Brigham says, if you leave, he said, you go home to die. Now, Boynton thought that was pretty funny. His health was good. Everything was good. Well, okay. Meantime, he takes off. He gets all the way back to New York, and suddenly he doesn't feel well. A doctor is called in, and the doctor says it's gallbladder. In other words, horrible stomach problem. You've got that. And Boynton says, no, I don't. He goes, it's my appendix. And Boynton becomes so upset at the local doctor that Boynton actually calls in, has his will brought to him, and he rewrites his will, and he says that nothing is to be divided among his family until he demands he has an autopsy on his body after he's dead. In other words, he wants, people to come in, and he wants his body torn apart to discover what caused his death, and then if the doctor was wrong, He wants the entire town of Syracuse to rise up and drum the doctor out of town, which how you would do that, you would shave the guy's head. You know, today it's a popular look. You know, but back then to shave your head, oh, it's a source of embarrassment. You would shave the man's head, and then the whole town would walk behind him beating drums. Okay, so for John F. Boynton dies, there is an autopsy on his body, meaning they cut his body open. They concluded, truly, he did die from appendicitis. They grabbed the doctor, they shaved his head, they drum him out of town, and you'd say, Boynton now dead. Well, what's the tragedy of his life? Despite the fact, you would say, he contributed so much to society. You and I are the beneficiaries, unknowing it, of course, but the beneficiaries of his genius today. Okay, what's up? Good.
It was of the world, not just in the world.
Okay, of the world, not just in the world. He had the pearl of great price, and said, you know, goodbye to this. I'm going to embrace all of this. And so you look and you'd say, well, you know, you'd say, well, he just made that decision, but was it for himself really? Who else is affected?
All his posterity.
All his posterity. In other words, you can look. Anybody ever met a Boynton in the church? You know, in other words, you'd say, what happened to his family? Ha! Well, I just hope some great missionary is going to knock on the door and bring these genius people back in. But you'd say, oh, Grandpa, you know, your choice will affect literally generations who will not have the blessings of the gospel. Okay, now we're going to take these and put them together with the other 9 we did. What did you learn? I mean, you know, I know the facts about these guys. You know, tell me what you learned. Okay, you told me something about Boynton. Okay, you told me he's going to lose his family. Okay.
I thought it was interesting that even though the gentlemen came back and were still able to be the apostle, they were moved out of the way to be a prophet.
Okay, in other words, in 1875, Orson Hyde had served 20 years as president of the Quorum of the 12, but he's moved out, and John Taylor taking his place because John Taylor always faithful. Actually, that says something great to me about the man called to be an apostle, or called to be the prophet. He doesn't have the, I'm cruising along, blip, blah, blah, blah. He's not like James says, the sands of the sea. You know, the sea is it's tossed to and fro. He's not that. It's not in and out. You know, he's right on the top. Okay, good. What else did you pick up?
I feel bad for Harley P. Pratt. I mean, he only waved a little bit. Everybody was confused. I mean,
Okay.
it seems like it was okay to have a little doubt at the time when everything collapsed around him, literally.
Okay.
And, you know, the result is still, we still know about it. Everybody still knows about it.
Okay, everybody still knows.
You know,
and
one
you're
little
like,
doubt and the guy's
what,
life.
almost 20 years later, we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you do in your life that this isn't going to happen to you? I mean, you know, it's not like, you know, we put ourselves, you know, that shark cage, you know, yeah, you know, okay, everybody's fighting out there and you're like, so fun, picture. Okay, what can you do to at least prevent some of this from happening? Okay, keep the commandments. Good.
I think we all need to, we know that even the very elect will fall and be deceived. And so I think we all need to just decide to follow the prophet, that no matter what happens, we cannot afford to be deceived. We have to follow our prophet.
Okay, so if I were to say, here's the iron rod, the word of God, can we just occasionally, boom, bump into it? Yep, I'm okay. Okay, what would you say?
No, I think we need to stay.
Okay, in other words, I remember telling about Father Smith's dream where he has to hold on to that, you know, the rope to get to the tree. You know, it's like, I don't know. You know, here's the iron rod, and, you know, you're going to fall off either way. You're the happy overzealous that the whole church is genealogy to you. The whole church is, you know, food storage. The whole church is whatever. And you're like, no. You know, yeah, you hold it tight, or you're underzealot. Oh wow, you know, it's party time tonight. You know, I'm heading to Waikiki, and you're going, no. You gotta really hold on tight, because those waves of temptation, adversity are just gonna smash against you like at Pounders Beach. You know, you head out there and going, I'm just gonna wade in, and boom, and you know, you gotta be holding on. Good, okay.
I wonder how many of them. Pride was a huge factor in a lot of them too.
Yeah.
They were very bright people, moved up quick, and then something happened, and pride just really went bad.
Okay, pride can just get you, right? Anytime you're better than the next person, and actually that moves us along. Okay, so